Hey going, it's Kwa here. In this video, I'm going to do a book review on Eddie Darlene's book, 30 Properties Before 30. So let's go. Eddie Darlene, he is a Sydney property investor. He has been investing in properties for pretty much his whole life. So the first 10 chapters is all about the first 10 properties that he went out and bought. So in the book, he talks a lot about the negative gearing. A lot of Australians at the moment think that negative gearing is a great idea, but there's a lot of disadvantages to this. He also talks about positive cash flow properties. So positive cash flow properties is when the income of a property, such as the rent, exceeds the expenses. So therefore, you're actually getting money every single month. Eddie Darlene talks about staying frugal. Staying frugal is very important. So when Eddie was trying to raise money for his first deposit, he was working two jobs. So I believe he was working at McDonald's at one point, and then he was working as a barman. So he worked two jobs, and all he did was just work, save money to raise that money for the deposit. And it's really true. I mean, you have to work really hard, you got to save your money, and you got to stick to it for a long period of time to come up with a deposit. But when he's finally able to raise that money for the deposit, he went out there, he approached a lot of different banks, but there was one time when he did approach the right bank, and the bank gave him the opportunity for him to go ahead and get a loan for this property that he was looking at. And he said that he learned that you can actually increase your borrowing power if the rental on that particular property is high enough. So for example, if the property is giving you $200 a week and another property is giving you $150 a week, that $200 a week will give you more borrowing power than the $150 a week. So I didn't know that. And just little gold nuggets like that are littered throughout this book. So I highly recommend for you to read this book, go through it carefully and underline the areas. I pretty much highlighted everything. I underlined, I wrote notes and stuff. It's, there's a lot of gold nuggets in this particular book. The next chapter he talks about investment strategies. So he talks about the importance of building a property portfolio. When you build a property portfolio, you want to really build it over time and hold on to it, because that's when the magic happens. When you have a lot of properties hold over a long period of time, those properties are going to rise up in value, and you can sell some of those properties and pay off your existing ones, and therefore you have these properties all paid off and you're enjoying passive income. It's really amazing. He also talks about residential properties versus commercial and so forth. Eddie Darlene focuses on residential properties. He recommends this focus on residential properties, already established, already has a granny flat, and it will save you lots of time, energy, and money as well in the long run. Now, the gold chapter in this book is the chapter where he talks about his investment strategy. So Eddie Darlene's investment strategy is three things that he does. Number one is capital growth. You need to make sure that the property is in a particular location where it's subject to grow. Number two is that it needs to be cash flow positive. So you need to calculate the rental yield on the property. So you need to figure out what's the current rent, and you divide that by the existing mortgage. And then from that point, you can work out your yield. The ideal yield percentage is between 5 and 6. So if it's between 5 and 6, that means it's a very strong rental that will cover a lot of the expenses and it's cash flow positive. And number three is buying under market. So Eddie Darlene talks about when you go ahead and buy a property, it needs to be under market. So let's say you're looking at 5 properties at the moment. All 5 of them is all about 1 million, but you come across a property that's 900K. You want to get that 900K one because it's under market. Even if it's 950K, that's under market. And that's where you want to start. You want to start at those properties. You want to find those properties that's under market. Now, here's the trick. Here's the thing in the book is that he doesn't share with you how to find under market properties. So I had to go out there and find out how to do this. So there's other things that you can do to find out the information. But of course, it's not going to reveal all these secrets. But, the next chapter talks about understanding finance. So this is all about interest-only loans, principal and interest, and so forth. When you're approaching a broker, should you approach a bank to get your loan? It's all about understanding that in the deposit as well. So the next chapter is talking about the deposit. How do you save up the deposit? And he's being realistic here, is that you're going to work hard, you're going to save your money, but you got to stay frugal. You got to stay frugal. Don't go out there and buy an expensive car, delay your holidays, delay everything, because you got to keep your eye on the prize, and that just remember that you're doing this all for your property, and that's really good. And that one day you're going to buy that property and it's going to be a great thing. So just got to stay focused on the goal, is that you're going to buy another property. The next chapter is that how you go ahead and find a property. So is a really good chapter that talks about the property clock. So each state in Australia has different property cycles. So for example, Perth at the moment, it's rising at the moment. but Sydney and Melbourne is actually in decline. Queensland seems to be rising as well. So you got to know where each state is in terms of the property clock. I think it's dial 12 is at the peak. If it's at the 3, that means it's declining. If it's at 6, it means it's at the bottom. If it's at the 9, it means it's rising. And then once again, if it's at the 12, then it's at the top. So you got to identify where each state is in terms of the property cycle, and then buy the property in those particular areas, so therefore you can get the growth that you want. So to finish off, this book is a fantastic book. It's a really great book. I highly recommend for you to go check it out. It's really inspiring, you know. The way it's written is actually really well written. It's very positive, it's very inspiring. It's not too complicated. There's calculations there. There's pictures of Eddie Darlene in front of his houses. It's a really good book that will get you motivated to go out there and just go out there and find the properties, you know. He also invites you to join his property buyers club, but go check it out if that's something that you want to do. But once again, Eddie Darlene, he's a really great bloke. I also did an interview with him a couple of years ago. Be sure to check out my video for that one there. But overall, I highly recommend this book. Go out there, get this book. I believe it's on Amazon at the moment. It's in the bookstores, and it's going to be a very powerful book that will help you to build your property portfolio. So thanks for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next one. Cheers.